A very good morning to one and all. Today we are discussing about another topic that is autosclerosis. Let me introduce the topic. Autosclerosis or hardening of the ear. So sclerosis means hardening. So auto means it is related with ear. So it is otherwise known as hardening of the ear. Result from the formation of an abnormal spongy bone like bone growth along the stapes in the middle ear. So it is a hardening of the ear. It is mainly affecting the middle ear and in the stapes bone. With the new bone growth, the stapes become immobile, prevents transmission as sound vibration into the ear, leading to conductive hearing loss. So we already discussed in the introduction class. The three bones are present in the middle ear. It will help for the conduction of sound vibration. So in this condition, because of the hardening of the bone, hardening of the ear or a formation of abnormal bone, the stapes bone become immobile. It will not vibrate, and that's why the sound will not be conducted into the inner ear. So there is a conductive hearing loss is occurring. Otosclerosis usually affect the both ears. It can affect both ears. Let me see the definition. It is a metabolic bone disease of the ossicles in which normal bone is replaced by abnormal spongy bone causing fixation of the stapes bone. So you can see in the picture there is a stapes bone. You can see in the stapes bone a bony growth is occurring. So this is mainly due to the metabolic disorder. It's a metabolic bone disorder. Okay, it is due to the abnormal metabolism of the bone. There is a normal bone is the normal bone, that is a stapes bone, is replaced by abnormal spongy bone. The normal bone is replacing, and instead of the normal bone a abnormal spongy bone is forming, that cause fixation of the stapes bone. Then afterwards the stapes bone is getting fixed, so the vibration will not transmitted to, or it will not send the vibration to the inner ear. So that is called otosclerosis. It is a metabolic bone disease of the ossicles in which normal bone means normal stapes bone is replaced by abnormal spongy bone causing fixation of the stapes bone. Understood? Let us see. This is a picture. So here you can see that it's not a complete bony structure. It's a spongy like bony structure. So the after that stapes, the sound will not be conducted to the inner ear. Then the incidence. First one, age. The incidence of otosclerosis increase with age. The most common age group presenting with hearing loss from otosclerosis is 15 to 45 of years. So normally, depending on the age, increasing of age, as a physiology of the age, increasing age, it can occur when the age is increasing. And other than this one, mainly you can see in people between 15 to 45 years of age, this otosclerosis you can see. Then age of onset usually occurs between 20 to 30 years of age and rarely start before 10 or after 40 years of age. In pregnancy, otosclerosis may be initiated or aggravated by pregnancy but never caused by it. Pregnancy should not lead to otosclerosis, but in pregnancy time, maybe osteosclerosis can occur because it is a metabolic bone disorder. Okay, because of the abnormal metabolism only it is occurring. So in pregnancy time, lot of metabolism will take place in the body. So it may lead to otosclerosis, or sometimes it is an aggravating factor which can lead to otosclerosis. But pregnancy is not a cause for otosclerosis. The other factors are metabolic disorders, any metabolic disorders, then endocrine, like metabolic disorder means diabetes, then hypothyroidism, any hormonal disorders, then endocrinal, then vitamin deficiency or focal infections. So these are the certain other factors which can lead to otosclerosis. Let us see the etiology. The primary cause is unknown. First of all, the primary cause is unknown. Till now, it is not identified what is the primary cause. Then risk factors are family history. If any family history means it can occur. Metabolic or enzyme abnormality. Then infections like virus or any other lesions. Then autoimmune disorder. Sometimes autoimmune disorder also can lead to otosclerosis. Then the classification, there are mainly two type of classification: histological otosclerosis and clinical otosclerosis. Let us see. Histological otosclerosis means this type of otosclerosis does not produce any symptoms during life but is revealed only after death, or during the post-mortem you can identify the symptoms, or you can identify this particular autosclerosis, that is called histological autosclerosis. So during the life there will not be any symptoms. Okay. Then clinical autosclerosis means there are three subtypes: stapedial autosclerosis, cochlear autosclerosis, and mixed autosclerosis. Stapedial autosclerosis means the autosclerosis focus may produce ankylosis of the membranous labyrinth. So ankylosis is occurring on the membranous labyrinth, that is called stapedial autosclerosis. Then cochlear autosclerosis means the autosclerotic process encroaches upon the membranous labyrinth, producing sensory neural deafness. So if the autosclerotic process or the hardening of the bone is encroaching, means if it is beyond, or if it is more than the membranous labyrinth, that can lead to sensory neural deafness. So we can call it as cochlear autosclerosis. Then mixed autosclerosis means autosclerosis causes both fixation of the stapes as well as involvement of the labyrinth, so that they are mixed hearing loss. So in mixed autosclerosis, both the stapes bone also involved and inner ear or membranous labyrinth also involved. Let us see the pathophysiology. Due to etiological factors, destruction of normal bone release enzyme leads to vestibular and cochlear function impairment, leads to calcification, that means deposition of calcium in the tissue, that leads to fixation of stapes bone and immobilization of foot plate in the oval window. This is called this is a pathophysiology of autosclerosis. So due to the etiological factors, we have seen so many risk factors. The primary etiological factor is unknown. There are so many risk factors is there. So that one, what is happening? Because of that, what is happening? Destruction of normal bone release enzyme. Normal bone enzyme release is stopped, or some kind of destruction is occurring. So what will happen? Vestibular and cochlear function impairment will be there. There is an impairment in the vestibular and cochlear function, that will lead to calcification, deposition of calcium in the tissue. So due to the abnormal bone metabolism, the calcium deposition will be occurring on the tissue. This will lead to fixation of stapes bone. So because of the abnormal calcification, we can call it as a formation of spongy bone. So because of the spongy bone, the stapes bone is getting fixed, and immobilization of foot plate in the oval window. So that's why the vibration will not have takes place, or the stapes bone or the foot plate will immobilize, okay, or can't able to move. This is the pathophysiology. Let us see the signs and symptoms. Hearing loss will be there. It will be temporary, permanent, or bilateral, unilateral, either one side or both ear. Sometimes it will be temporary and permanent. Then dizziness will be there. Then tinnitus, ringing sound will be there. Roaring sound will be there. Then buzzing the ear. Okay, sometimes they can hear that some buzzing sound. Okay, like the sound of bee or insects. Then vertigo will be there, some kind of nausea or vomiting sensation, along with some imbalance in movement. Then headache and earache. These are the symptoms you can see in signs and symptoms. Then along with this one, squat sign. Squat sign means, it is also known as flamingo pink sign, is a diagnostic indicator for autosclerosis. A pink is knotted throughout the tympanic membrane. So when you are observing that, or when you are examining the tympanic membrane with the tympanometry or with the help of otoscope, you can see one pink color is knotted on the tympanic membrane. That is a sign of autosclerosis, that we can call it squat sign. Second one is absent acoustic reflex, that is loud sounds cause involuntary contraction of the stapedius muscle, called acoustic reflex. Okay, acoustic reflex also you can identify when the loud sound is occurring, that there is an involuntary contraction of stapedius is seen in the you can identify with the help of audiogram or tympanogram. Then diagnostic evaluation, it including history collection. Proper history collection should be done. Then physical examination. So physical examination, mainly we are using tuning fork test, Rennes and Weber's test should be done. Then audiometric test. Then tymphanosynthesis, we are collecting the fluid from the tympanic membrane, and we are sending it for culture and sensitivity. It will helps to identify the underlying factor of or a cause of the autosclerosis. Then CT scan, it will helps in the CT scan, we can, with the help of CT scan, we can collect the fluid from the ear, especially from the mastoid region, if there is any abscess formation, and also identify the presence of fluid. Okay, then MRI, it will helps to evaluate the tumor or soft tissue, what kind of, how much of bone growth is there, or what kind of tissue is present. Then audiograph, it will helps to assess the hearing loss. It's a graphical representation of the sound vibration. With this one, we can identify the hearing loss. Then image study, in that CT scan, it will helps to characterize the extent of the otosclerotic focus at the oval window, how much it is extended. It can exclude capsular involvement when patients have significant mixed hearing loss. An enlarged cochlear aqueduct may be seen, which potential cause perilimb gusher during foot plate fenestration or removal. So you can identify the cochlear aqueduct, whether it is involved or not, or it also helps to reveal the round window and normal mastoid pneumatization, whether the normal air pressure is there inside the ear, that we can identify with the help of CT scan. Then next we will move to the management. Autosclerosis may slowly get worse. Okay, it is a slowly progressive disease. The condition may not require treatment until you have severe hearing problems. So we are seeing the types: historical and clinical is there. Historical, we can't identify the signs and symptoms till death, or it can identify during the post-mortem of the person. So if it is a historical, then you can't identify. And the symptoms also, it is a slowly progressive disorder, so symptoms may not shown in the beginning when till the person is having severe hearing loss. So once they are having severe hearing loss, that time only we are going for diagnosing. Then medications such as fluoride, calcium, or vitamin D supplements we are giving for slow the hearing loss. Then, but the benefits may not yet been proved. So, but it is not yet proved that this vitamin D, calcium, and fluoride will helps to improve the hearing capacity, but it will sometimes it will slow down the hearing loss. Okay, the progressive of the hearing loss will slow down. No non-medical treatment exists for this form of deafness, but amplification with a hearing aid may be helpful. So medical management is not at practicing. A symptomatic treatment will be there, and the main management is with the, we can use some hearing aid, so the we can preserve the hearing ability. Then, for symptomatic treatment, administer analgesics such as ibuprofen, oxycodone, acetaminophen, which helps to reduce the irritation or pain. Then, hearing aid may be used to treat the hearing loss. Then, hearing aid we can use, so it will helps to improve the hearing capacity. And there are some general measures: avoidance of noise full environment. So if there is some noise full environment is there, more if it is more loud noise is there, then we have to avoid that kind of situations. It will helps to prevent from this kind of hearing loss. Then sideline position, always you have to use a sideline position. Then continuous application of medication. Then high protein diet, it will helps to fight against this infection. Then surgical management is two surgical procedures are there. One is stapedectomy and another one is stepidotomy. Okay, one is stapedectomy, removal of the stapes bone, and another one is stepidotomy. Okay, there is an opening in the stapes bone. So let us see stapedectomy. Stapedectomy involves removing the stapes structure and part of the foot plate and inserting a tissue graft and a suitable prosthesis. So the bone transplantation is possible in the ear. So in this stapedectomy, the deceased or that spongy bone formation on the staped is removing, and instead of that spongy bone, we are keeping a prosthesis or a artificial bone or a tissue graft. So it will helps to transmit the vibration. Then stepidotomy means modern surgery called stepidotomy. It is performed by drilling a small hole in the stapes foot plate with micro drill or laser and the insertion of a piston like prosthesis. So in stepidotomy, we are with the help of laser or with the help of some micro drill. Okay, we are inserting into the ear and we are making a hole on the staped bone or the diseased staped bone, and we are keeping a piston like processes, a extra rod like processes or artificial bone we are keeping on the stapes bone, so that afterwards that sound will be sound vibration will be transmitted to the cochlea or inner ear. So this is called stapedotomy. So this is a surgical procedure we are using with the help of the laser or micro driller. We are making a drill over the stapled bone, and then we are keeping a, see, you can see that a piston we are keeping to the inner ear. Then nursing assessment, history of the onset and progression of symptoms should be assessed properly. Extent of hearing loss by auditory or with the help of audiogram, we have to assess the extent of hearing loss. Rennie test and Weber's test should be done to evaluate loss of air conduction or bone conduction. So these are the assessment we have to do. Then nursing care, if the person is undergoing operation, post-operative care should be done. Operator ear should be upset for 24 hours after OT. After the surgery, we have to keep the patient in a sideline position where the operator ear should be in the upside position. Should check the vital signs properly. Caution in ambulation, or we have to take some precaution while moving the patient. Otherwise, dizziness may occur. Reassure dizziness is temporary. You have to tell the patient that the dizziness will be temporary. Observe for signs and symptoms of bleeding, drainage, then assess vertigo, quiet rest sedative. Vertigo you have to assess. Then antibiotic and analgesic to control infection and pain. Observe nystagmus or signs and symptoms of facial palsy. So nystagmus means that is a structure which you can see in the eye. So you have to check whether it is moving or not, or the eyelid is moving or not. So sometimes facial palsy can occur because if while doing the surgery, if some nerve involvement is there, that can lead to facial surgery. Then medicated ribbon gauze pack remove after 5 to 7 days. So after the surgery, we are keeping a medicated ribbon gauze, that we are keeping. Ribbon gauze means a long gauze that we are inserting into the ear, that we can remove after 5 to 7 days. Then decongestion should be applied. It will help to dilate utation tube. Then discharge advice should be given in that. Avoid water in ear for 2 months. Avoid loud noise. Avoid blowing the noise, and open the mouth when sneezing. That advice we have to given. It will helps to prevent from complications. Avoid straining, bending, heavy lifting, and infections. Always tell them to avoid this kind of activity, and also take precaution to prevent the chance of infection. Then antibiotic full course we have to give us advice. So these are the nursing management for or after care for autosclerotic patient who undergone surgery. So post-operative care is there. This should be followed properly. Then some self-care management is there at home after the surgery. Take medicine as prescribed. Blow nose gently. Sneeze and cough with mouth open for few weeks after surgery. Avoid heavy lifting, straining, and bending. Popping and crackling sensation are normal for 3 to 5 weeks after surgery. So maybe the person will feel some kind of sensation like crackling inside the ear, some popping, something is some phona, okay, some sound, okay, crackle like sound. Then temporary hearing loss is normal in operative ear. So till recovering from that surgery, temporary hearing loss will be there. Then change the cotton ball in ear as needed. Avoid getting water for 2 weeks after surgery. So these are the self-care management after the surgery that we have to educate to the patient so that they can follow in the home. Then complications are complete deafness and can occur due to autosclerosis. Then the nerve damage can occur if the disease is or the bony growth is increasing. Then infections, dizziness, pain, or blood clot in the ear after the surgery. So these are the possible complication of autosclerosis. So this all about the topic. So today we discussed about what you mean by autosclerosis. It is a hardening of the ear bone, that stapes bone. Because of the normal stapes bone is replaced by hardened or spongy bone. It will prevent the conductive or the sound vibration to the inner year can lead to permanent or temporary hearing loss. Then we have seen the causes. Primary cause is unknown. We have seen the risk factors. Classification is there. Two classification we have seen. Then we have seen the pathophysiology, what is happening inside the ear due to the abnormal bone metabolism. Then signs and symptoms according to the classification we have seen. Then we have seen the various diagnostic measures. Then medical management, in that pharmacological management there is no pharmacological management for treating autosclerosis, but symptomatic management is there for preventing the infection and also to reduce the symptoms, pain and discomfort. And we have seen the surgical management. Two surgical management is a stapedectomy and stapedotomy, and we have discussed it in detail. And afterwards, what are the post-operative management and aftercare at home. Then complication, possible complication we have discussed. So this all about the topic autosclerosis. You have to go to the slides, and you have to if you are having any doubt, you can ask me. Have a nice day. Thank you.